You have a nice night out with your fellas, your friends. You see someone that is attractive or hot, and you have a really good time. But the problem is, the next day, when you talk to your friend and you don't know how to describe how attractive or hot that other person was. They don't know. For a long time, we've been using words such as really, really hot to try and describe the hotness or attractiveness of another person. But there are many problems. People have different ideas of hotness in their mind. Fortunately, Charles Darwin in 1832 was quoted as inventing the 10 scale. While out with some friends, he said, "Dude, that bird was like an 8 or a 9. I'm not really sure because I was really, really drunk." It's from this piece, The Origin of Species. It was not long after that that humans eventually developed the 10 scale. And the 10 scale soon to move from just creatures to humans also. So the problem, though, was that when people used the 10 scale, people still had different ideas of what a 10 was or what a 9 was. This led to completely different ideas on the hotness of a person. He says it's a 10, but clearly it is not. He's just exaggerating. While the other gentleman hears the 10 and he thinks she is a perfect 100%. If we graph all of these onto the 10 scale, we will see that there is a distribution of just zeros, 9s, and 10s, which defeats the purpose of having a scale of 0 to 10. So, what I present is a better way to evenly distribute the rankings of people amongst 0 to 10. I present the T-scale. The T-scale is an empirical rating system for the hotness of humans. Now, this accounts for all the people of the world. So half of the people in the world are below 5, half are above 5. The average human is 5. The 10 and 0 are never reached, so there is always room for growth. There can always still be an uglier or hotter person. But most people are about average, and then the cosine curve you may recognize there is actually more of a way of evenly distributing the stories about 0 to 10, because most people tell stories about the high numbers. So now there is an even number of stories told at different numbers. So how can I understand these numbers? What do they mean to me? So let's say you're in a room of about 110 people. A large room, maybe an auditorium. According to the scale, you should run into about one person in that 110 that is in the 9.0 to 9.9 range. And likely you should see one that is in the 0 to 0.9 range. But most of us are kind of in this middle mass where it doesn't really matter that much. Let's walk through these numbers and what they mean to us, to get a better feel of what an actual 0 to 0.9 is. Now, most of these people have seemingly physical deformities or signs of inbreeding.
It's so topical.
They kind of, there's a fear that these people may attack you or strike you, and it is uncomfortable to even look at photos of these people. This affects 25 million people in the world, roughly the population in North Korea. Now we move to the 1 to 1.9 scale. These people are still uncomfortably ugly. You do not want to look at them. Looks like this gentleman has been living on an island, and this is a mixture between Kit and I's face. Terrifying, ugly. But you do not feel threatened. The ugliness does not threaten you. You are still just scared, and it is ugly. Now we move into the 2 to 2.9 scale. Now, an interesting phenomenon happens here. where most people, it moves from just physical deformities to just pure neglect of physical appearance. So this often results in fat people, very fat people, or results in bad hairstyles, bad makeup. It makes you very ugly easily. But there's a larger number of people afflicted by this. Move up to the 3 to 3.9 scale. So this is that ugly friend. This is where you start to know people. You know people that are in this 3 to 3.9 range. Some of them may be your friends. So if we look at them, they often are just that ugly friend. You can be friends with them, but they're still kind of ugly.
I love it.
Now the 4 to 4.9 scale. Many of us lie in this scale because this is just a huge number of people. 1.4 billion people. These people are pretty unremarkable, really. There's not much to say about them. Just kind of there. You're not really that interested in them. So we move to the 5 to 5.9. Now these people are average. This is the average composition of the people in the world, and this is the average 5. Both of these people represent that. This is when we start to move towards hot people. Now these people are the type of people you may want to try to end up with at the end of a night out at the bar. So here is where we first see Mr. Denzel Washington, attractive man. Nothing that special though, just kind of your average guy. Here we see the girl next door. She's just kind of cute, but that's about it. 7 to 7.9. Now we're getting into really attractive people. These are the type of people that you get nervous talking to. They are so beautiful. Yeah, there he is.
Come on.
And then here now we see like another trait. This is a really attractive woman, amazing body, but we don't know who she is. She's just no one. She's no skills, not a huge amount of money, not that hot. We move to 8 to 8.9. These are blazingly hot people. These are people you want to get with. Tom Cruise, so rich, so many people love him, but he is kind of crazy. Keeps him out of that 9 range. We move in, and we see Jessica Alba. Gorgeous, hot, still kind of missing that X factor. And then we move to the hottest people in the world. These are people you will kill to have sex with. These are people where if you rape them, it's still kind of okay because they're so hot. Brad Pitt. Humanitarian, sexy as hell, super rich, super talented. The epitome of men? Maybe. That is... I forgot her name.
Pussycat Dolls.
Yes! Thank you. That is Nicole Scherzinger.
There you go.
Talented singer, gorgeous, super rich. She's got it all going. So now that we understand kind of a rough understanding of kind of where everyone falls and what the numbers may mean to a person, we're still left with one question.
Wow.
That is, how do I determine my T? How? This is the science behind the magic. Ladies and gentlemen, I present the T formula. Now, you may be a little overwhelmed, but don't worry, we will dive in and understand all of these points. One of the first ones, Mr. Marriott, do you know who this is?
It's John F. Kennedy.
Sorry, I was referring to the woman next to
Ayn
him.
Rand.
That is not Ayn Rand.
I don't know.
It is actually White House press secretary,
Former.
former
I forgot her name.
news,
She
Helen
works
Thomas.
a lot.
Helen Thomas.
Thanks, yeah.
And she, as we can see, is a major problem with the H factor. Now, previously she was probably around the 4 range, pretty unremarkable, not that positive. But now she has moved into a territory that is more around the 2 or 1. that she gets a little scary to be near. So how do we adjust for this? How do we somehow negate the factor of age? We try to put everyone on the same scale. Here's the age factor scale. On the X scale, we see age. On the Y, we see the AF factor. So we see here, as you move from the age 0 to 18, you are of -5. That subtracts. You are unhot.
Depends.
But certain countries, 14, 13, 12, you're okay. France, Argentina, Thailand, you're fine. But once you turn 18, it moves to a different range where suddenly it's not a subtracting factor. You are on the market. You are available. Now, unfortunately for women, they tend to get uglier a lot faster. This happens up until what is known as the cougar plateau, which is when the hotness of women actually, they get hotter and they become more sexual. But eventually, in the end, they all kind of spike and become very ugly people. So now we move into net worth. Incredibly important when you talk about how hot somebody is. Now this little baby here, how hot is this baby? Not as hot as he becomes, because he's Warren Buffett, $62 billion net worth. Incredibly hot. This guy is off the scales and completely rewrites it. And the W money sign, net worth, is usually written, divided by $1 million US, plus the inflation rate. So now we talk about sexual partners. This is Rachel Starr. Incredibly sexy, incredibly hot, but she's had sex with probably millions of guys because she's a porn star. Now we look at sexual partners, again, difference for male and female. Females are very valuable when they are virgins. Men, opposite. Very not desired when they are virgins.
So unfair.
Women go straight down, the more sexual partners. Very unfortunate side effect. Men, however, peak around 20 to 30 sexual partners. Now we get into the good stuff, the sex parts. Sex parts, these are what is important. For women, cup size. Cup size directly translates to this SY factor on the y-axis here. You may think, wow, those numbers seem pretty random, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, except for it is the Fibonacci sequence, the sign of beauty in nature. For men, it is more complicated. It is, in fact, the formula is length times the width of the penis, divided by the cross-sectional area, minus the angle of the dangle plus yaw. We will get into this later with an example. Now, waist size, this is very important. The size of the body is very determining in the factor. Now, extra small negates, and then it works in a negative Fibonacci sequence, the larger the waist. Now, there's a family factor, pretty simple. If they're family members, instant minus 10. If they're not family, 0. Now, the love factor, similar. If you're in love with the person, plus 2. If you're not in love with them, it's negated. If they're in love with you, but you don't love them, minus 2, because nothing is worse than someone loving you that you don't love. Now, for N for knowledge. University degrees, plus 0.5. MBAs do not count. Doctorates are plus 1. C++ or any programming, minus 1 per language. Now, Bph is burritos per hour, which is the number of burritos one can consume in a given hour. Oh, for myself, yes, I've done 2.7. Now we move back to the T formula. And now we have seen every part of the T formula with the addition of PA, which is the physical attractiveness. And you can see you average the physical attractiveness with the factors we've listed before, and that leaves you with the T factor. Simple, right? Let's walk through an example. Let's say this guy. So, He's not a family member, so that's an instant 0. We don't care. Not a factor. Bph, this is a guesstimate, but I'm going to assume around 1.5 burritos per hour. Waist size, medium, this kind of works. It's not too bad. -1. Now I'm not in love with him, so 0. University degree, that's all he has, so 0.5. His physical attractiveness, we'll put it around average for now. We'll say 5. Move up, here's his sex parts. So his 3 by 3 inch penis with a 0.001 square meter cross-sectional area, which usually angles at a 30 degrees while dangling. So the 5 degree, y'all. That leads to a 1.2 SY. His sexual partners, assuming just 1, and sex with himself does not actually count though, so he gets a -1 there. He doesn't have much money, so we'll put a 0. His age factor, negligible, 28-year-old, doesn't matter. This leaves him with a T factor 3.87. Where does that put him? That puts him in that ugly friend category. So now we understand that Matt is in the lower half of the people of the world. This hopefully will lead to a better way of understanding the way we translate one person's hotness to another via language. That is the T-scale. Thank you very much. Question and answer section.
I have a sudden urge to hire you.
Ask the author.
That's awesome.